and Pinero. Aleix Pleva starting in third. We always see him fighting up front. Should see him fighting up front and fighting for this win today. Jason Perry in the 97 starting fourth. New driver Sol Ashutwi is starting in at P5. Jason Green in sixth. Flavio Indalo in seventh. Antonio Reese in eighth. Yangshi Lee starting in P9. Rounding out your top 10, Jurg Manny.
I gotta cut in here.
Oh,
I hit the button.
Jesus.
I hit the start button. I just realized I hit the button.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you. Our apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely it's been a rough day for me here in the production booth. As we have a look at 11th, Scott Russell is there with Adam Bradshaw there in 12th. As we move on to 13th, Simon Mayer is there with Tom Gradwell in 14th. Jim Brewster takes 15th with Larry Miles, the Canadian driver, there in 16th. Joseph Tarantino, he's there in 17th with Josh Wilkie, SMB's finest, there in 18th. Brad Cathcart takes 19th with Juan Velez alongside him in 20th with Adam Thompson in 21st. Daniel Wood in 22nd. Andrea Fambini in 23rd with Andrew Love in 24th.
25th, we'll see the 555 of Paulo Bream starting alongside Jeff Jacobson in the number 40 entry. Joshua Justice struggling in qualifying, going to start in 27th. Kurt Nunez in 28th. Behind them, Paul Jackson and Stevie Ray round out the 15th row and the top 30. Philip Berry going to be 31st with Patrick Farragher in 32nd. Joshua Flores starting 33rd. 34th, Gary Wobolt. 35th, Mario Kremser. And 36th is going to be David Tomaski. 37th, Michelle Viglini starting alongside Wayne Buttermore. Then 39th, Russell Telker with Soren Garrett starting all the way there in 40th, way back there. And then shotgun on the field in 41st, the 552 of Jason Greider.
Well, definitely, again, my apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a rough day for me here in the booth, but I do appreciate the people in the chat. Hayden Bramley as well going, okay, did you hit the button? And Adam popping in as well. And definitely very well said, Tamara. A mega grid is going to be very, very busy here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly one of my favorite races of the week, the Spec Racer Fords. Car after my own heart is the only official series that I really properly took part in. And now we're getting to cover the league coverage of it. So that is absolutely fantastic. You see there, Hayden Bramley, he's up there in second, isn't that, as the sponsored car?
Yes, we see this front row really stacked. The top 10 on this field completely stacked. We were talking about it a bit and qualifying the top 10 I ratings, just massive, mega all the way. Actually through 11th, we have 4.5K in 11th. So I absolutely stacked field here in the top 11. Should see some really, really good racing. It's going to be very important for Marco Pinero to get a good start. He's going to have the preferred line through the final corner and a clean run with no pace car. So we'll probably see him go out of the final corner and get that good jump over the outside line. The inside line, definitely the preferred line here. And this is a big field. This is going to, we're going to have some traffic. It's going to take a lap, probably the better part of a lap, for everybody to sort themselves out and to get into single file line. So what do you think, Zippy, is the key to winning here today?
I think survival is going to be the biggest start. You know, you definitely got to keep it clean. Remember that you have cold tires at the start of this. And I think as well, I'm kind of debating at this point, Randall, if maybe we should start on the chopper cam with just how busy this start's going to be. I kind of want to be able to keep a good eye on that. Certainly weigh in your opinion on that scenario. But like a 41 car grid, that is absolutely diabolically big, and certainly any mistakes you make, you will fall through the field at high speed, and there's going to be a lot more cars potentially coming up back behind you. So, you know, it's a tough one to say. I think low risk, high reward would be my choice of strategy for this race.
You see Marco Pinero back in the field up and then going once it gets everybody to kind of check up, gets going, and then a little contact as Hayden Bramley comes over to cover off P3, makes some light contact there with Aleix Pleva. Aleix probably going to be seeing a little bit of red here as they come down into turn 2 with cold tires. The Andretti hairpin going to be tricky here. We have some cars 2 wide, 3 wide, seeing a little bit of bumping and grinding going on back to the field. Brad Cathcart there stuck in the middle. They managed to make it through clean. Nobody around yet, and don't see much dust getting kicked up. So far, so good through turn 2 as they make their way through turn 3. Everybody kind of sorting themselves out pretty quickly here. Right now, Marco Pinero with a nice lead over Hayden Bramley. Hayden being very defensive early after getting caught off guard a little bit on that start. I think everybody was expecting Marco to go out of the last corner. He didn't. He checked up, made everybody else check up, and then went. We do see Garth running wide there at the exit of turn 5. They're making their way up through the kink, turn 6, and it's going to get dodgy from here as they run up the Ray Hall straight towards the corkscrew, the 59-foot, 18-meter elevation drop through the blind second apex. Could be very interesting here on cold tires. We'll see if everybody makes it through alive or not. So far, so good.
Well, that looked like Thompson was trying to make a move up on the inside, not quite able to get it done on Tarantino, but definitely action happening throughout the field. As I have a look there at the race leader, that's Marco Pinero. He's currently got about 0.3 of a second gap to Hayden Bramley, who's fair to say applying the pressure a less play, but about a similar gap behind half a second. And it does look like Hayden Bramley, he is almost giving Marco Pinero a little bit of a nudge there. I see Kurt Nunes has jumped to the pits. Andrea Fabini, he appears to have maybe started from the pits. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but something going on with Kurt Nunes. There you go. Bramley's up on the inside and takes the lead.
Bramley taking the move early, going inside a turn 2, gets it done, and now Pinero's going to be all over him. May go for this move in turn 3. No, just shows the nose, doesn't actually make the move. Hayden Bramley able to keep calm under pressure and keep that car mostly on track. Runs a little bit wide there in turn 3, and gets through turn 4 cleanly. Now firmly in the lead. Going to move defensive. He had to check up a little bit and make some defensive move. Going to defend the entry to turn 5 and manages to keep that position. Going to go defensive yet again. I don't know if I would invite the outside line there to go too wide, because you're really going to be choked off on the kink. But they work it out, get back in single file, and they make their way up the hill, up the Ray Hall straight, once again to the corkscrew. Aleix Pleva licking his chops here in 3rd place, waiting for a mistake out of one of these drivers.
Well, certainly that little left-hand kink before going up the hill is not a place I would want to invite a pass. I do not blame Bramley in the slightest for shutting the door there on Pinero. What do you do, right? And certainly possession is 9/10 of the law, and potentially it would have slowed them both down to the point, where Pleva would have indeed come into the picture. But certainly close racing happening so far. It looks like Wan Chi Lin. It looks like he's having a little bit of Antonio. Yeah, he's just going to get up on the inside there of Antonio Reese, but we're going to very quickly have a quick look at a replay. I've got a couple of crash warnings. Let's see what's going on.
We're looking here in the midfield. Patrick Farragher coming up through turn 1 here and going to be approaching turn 2. I wonder if maybe there is just a big checkup in front of him. No, he runs just kind of slow, and then we see a stricken car there off to the right, the yellow, and then he has to check up for it and gets collected, and then some more traffic comes through, a bit of bumping and banging through there, gets the car going in the right direction. I think maybe he was just distracted by that car on the outside and got a little bit offline, got the car unsettled and wasn't able to handle it. We see Antonio Reese running wide there as we're back, I believe, at live pictures. Yes. Aleix Pleva is still sitting there in 3rd place with Sewell behind him in 4th place. This lead pack, not really much of a breakaway forming yet. We've had enough fighting in this group to see them kind of stay in contact with the rest of the pack. Right now, your big mover, it looks to be Joshua Justice, all the way back in 19th, already up 8 spots. So Joshua Justice, not a great qualifying spot, making it work during the race, up 8 spots. We see this lead pack still together. Linus Stern coming down through Rainy Curve, coming up to the right-hander. Nobody really looking very punchy right now as we take a good look at that 132 car. It's a decent paint job, too. I like that black and yellow. And they're coming through the final corner. See if anybody gets a good run set up for the overtake opportunity in turn 2. We see the leader going defensive, weaving around a little bit. I don't know how much the stewards are going to like that amount of movement out of the leader, but trying to break that slipstream.
Well, understandably so. I don't know what they have for a ruling in this. I'd say, one move is fair game. And I never had much pace, but when it comes to being a defensive driver, I can definitely make things a little bit more challenging for you. As I can see there, Wilkie is there in the background, so he's doing quite well. Actually, he's currently leading S2. So, yeah, there you go. There's Josh Wilkie, and his nearest competition is actually Adam Thompson. Adam Thompson, he's back. So, Wilkie in 14th overall, with Adam Thompson a little bit further back. You can just see them as Wilkie goes into that corner. Thompson just a little bit of a smidge behind. So, definitely some work to be done by the SMB founder if he wants to get onto that P1 top step.
And for And not to let it go unnoticed, Jason Perry was able to make a move on the inside of turn 2 on Al Shootwi to get that 4th position away from him. So trying to make his way up the field and into that top 3 positions right now as Shootwi all over his rear bumper, and they get it worked out. So
Randy
he's going to
goes.
spin there, and a little bit of contact to help him around the rest of the way. So Perry runs wide through the corkscrew, spins on his own, cracking under the pressure. But now we have a bit of a gap up front. Al Shootwi needs to really get it together here and make sure that he's in a good position to use that slipstream to close that gap up. Otherwise, we're going to have a podium breakaway.
Well, that is certainly what is starting to happen. But you can see Antonio Reese, he's at the back of this pack, and it looks like, are they going to go 3 wide there? Looks like Jörg Manny, he's mixing it up. So, okay, we've got Jason Green on the right. Yuanxi Lin is kind of behind him, and Jörg Manny is there. He started on the left of the screen. So, yeah, 3 wide. Lin, Manny, and Green. This might not end very well. Reese is there in the background, looking to make a move, and these guys very quickly sort it out. Manny backs out, but Green, not so much. And Yuanxi Lin falls into that middle of the pack. But you can see there, so Ashby, he's kind of getting involved as well, as Lin's there on the inside there of Jason Green, side by side, and it looks like Lin's just got it by a nose. There you go. Lin gets a position done.
A little bit of incidental contact between Lin and Green there going through turn 1. Lin very quickly opened the wheel up and got away from Green as they were 3 wide. Jörg Manny maybe backed out a little bit, thinking discretion was the better part of valor going into turn 2 there. Not really known for backing out, but definitely showing some experience by possibly doing so. Sol Ashutwi ran a bit wide through turn 2 and is now under pressure and was under threat there very momentarily. I think he's trying to push the car to really close that gap up and maybe overdrove turn 2 a little bit, as we see Marco Pinero still hot on the tail of Hayden Bramley. I think maybe he's in a bit of a fuel-saving mode. He hasn't really looked very punchy, not really looked to make any moves, even though Hayden Bramley has been very defensive. Josh Wilkie there getting a little bit of contact from Miles as they make their way through the corkscrew, running in 12th. That is your Spec 2 leader right now, Josh Wilkie, running 13th, and just 3 cars between him and Adam Thompson, who's second in Spec 2. So we'll see if Thompson can get his way through any of this traffic in the form of 3 Masters Division drivers to get up there to Wilkie to have not only a Spec 2 battle, but a slow motion broadcasting battle.
Definitely, Thompson can see the rabbit, and we know how he feels about rabbits, so definitely work to be done. But we're going to try not to focus too much on that action. Just keep in mind there is multiple battles happening. My timing screen right now is like playing bingo, ladies and gentlemen. As I see there's definitely a few people. Oh, no!
Adam Thompson collected. It looks like Cathcart and Brewster possibly involved in the incident there.
Yep, Brewster's
collects Adam Thompson. That is going to ruin his race. Thompson, gets really close. Was not quite aware of Nunez there on the inside. Chops his nose a little bit, and he is struggling. That car does not look stable as he sits right now in front of Daniel Wood in that 32 car. The 32 is going to make his way around on the inside. Adam Thompson definitely down on speed, definitely down on handling. He's just going to do his best to keep out of the way, make his way to the pit lane and affect some repairs on this car, but he is struggling. Look at the damage, heavy damage to the front end of Adam Thompson's machine there. An innocent bystander. He's got to make a little bit of contact and then they get contacted from behind. Is that Joshua Justice? No, it was not Joshua Justice. It was another blue car contacts him, and he's just going to say, you know what, that's enough. I'm just going to take the tow. Joshua Wilkie now running away with the Spec 2 win. Joshua Justice here, not far behind him, but a bit of a gap, a 5-second gap between him and Wilkie, and he's got some clean air, so now he can probably click off some faster than quali laps since he didn't have that great of a qualifying. We're going to take a look here. What happened with Adam and the kink?
Okay, so that looks like Gradwell. He kind of backed up to the car ahead of him, and Gradwell gave him a little bit of a nudge, and at this point, he was the meat in that sandwich. Not really anything he can do, but certainly not the result he was looking for. You see Jim Brewster right there next to him in the pit. So, yeah, very, very colorful couple of incidents there here at Laguna Seca.
Also seeing Cathcart and Gradwell in the pits. I think maybe just a bit of a miscommunication there. Gradwell thinking that Thompson was going to take the outside and was just taking that apex, but then suddenly Thompson's car was there. 2 drivers going for the same piece of pavement. Both of them had some damage. Gradwell and Thompson now both in the pits as we see a battle for the lead. Pinero fighting with Bramley, and Bramley going defensive as they go up the Rahal straightaway into the that is the kink. Now they're on the Rahal straightaway, making the run up to the corkscrew. Hayden Bramley trying to make that Spec Racer forward as wide as possible as we see Aleix Pleva alongside Yanxi Li going into the corkscrew. It takes the outside of the first apex, takes the perfect second apex, gets that move done in the corkscrew. What a move out of Aleix Pleva, back into third place and going to try to run down Pinero.
Well, speaking of Pinero, I am noticing the front of his car appears to have been scraping along something, and I'm going to guess that was the back of Hayden Bramley. We'll try and get a little bit of a view of the back of his car. Actually, you know what? We have means. So, okay, Hayden Bramley's car looks pretty clean, so I'm not sure exactly where Pinero has been. Looks like he's been rubbing the front of that car on some very aggressive sandpaper, maybe, you know, brick style grade at that point. But, you know, this battle's still very much going on. And that's Jim Brewster coming out the pits there, the 933, I believe. He's going to basically be able to dodge this battle. As you see there, that looks like Sol Ashtui. He's just gone a little bit wide, and that maybe opened up the door there for Jason Green.
We saw some pretty cagey stuff out of Bramley coming out of the final corner. He ran wide enough that he picked up the off track, and he's like, well, I'm out of here. There's some brown pavement on the outside of the track coming down the front straightaway that looks like dirt, but it has the grip of pavement, and he just stayed out there, daring Pinero to follow him out there for the slipstream. Pinero did not follow suit and go out there to get that slipstream, so Hayden was able to get a good run down the straightaway without giving any slipstream to his opponent. I think possibly there was a bit of a mistake out of Bramley, which caused that front end damage. Pinero probably just a bit of a touch. Sometimes the damage model here on iRacing is a little bit dramatic, is the best word I'll give it. It could be a bit dramatic.
Well, I definitely know what it is to be dramatic, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly that's why they put me in the commentary booth. I'm much better at that than I am at production. I've definitely confirmed that today. By all means, if you were going to give me an attaboy, I'd save it for today, ladies and gentlemen. But who's just popped in the chat now? Adam, is that you back?
I'm back, but you guys can keep talking. I'm just here.
No, by all means, Adam, we saw an absolutely colossal incident. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that was from your seat?
Which one?
That was harsh, and you know what? That was self-inflicted on that one. But yeah, there was certainly that one that was going into turn 2. That one there, you know, like just trying to dodge a bullet at that point, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. When you get this many drivers on track, incidents are going to happen. And it was, you know, it's still fun, still love the league and everybody that's a part of it. Just, you know, when you're racing, what do they say, Daniel? Shit happens.
Yeah, very well said. That's how I'm going to describe me forgetting to hit the start button on the stream today. But let's have a quick peek here at Flavio and Darl. I tell you what, Adam, do you want to hang out in the commentary booth, call some action, or you just popped in to say hi?
Yeah, I'll hang out and call some action. Let me get back in there real quick.
Yeah, sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Adam's going to come and hang out with us. Randall, by all means, tell us what's happening right now. It looks like Flavio and Darlo maybe having a little bit of a battle there with Scott Russell.
Yeah, he's trying to track down that 22 of Scott Russell with that very green and black car. That's another. There's lots of great paint in this league. As we see them run through the kink up now into the Ray Hall straight on the run towards the corkscrew. He got a good run here. We're going to see, no, he decides to back out of it, not going to stick his nose in. We didn't see the 22 get very defensive there. Trusting Flavio to back out of it. We normally see Flavio a bit further up the order, so kind of odd to see him back at 11th. So he's got some work to do. Maybe he's playing the fuel saving game. We're going to try to get some of this done on pit strategy. Currently 11th, looking to maybe to get 10th on a mistake. Scott Russell so far looking pretty impervious as they make their way onto the start-finish straight. Hayden Bramley still leads the way over Marco Pinero, Aleix Pleva in 3rd, Yanxi Lin in 4th, Jason Green 5th, Sol Ashtui in 6th place, Jörg Manny in the Masters lead in 7th. 8th place is his rival, Antonio Reese, right behind him. And then we have Meyer there in 9th place. Then Scott Russell involved in this battle here for 10th place. And we see some issues going on. It looks like Mario Crimser, the blue flag car here, trying to get out of the way, trying to make way for this battle, and is really clogging things up right now. Everybody makes it through now as they make their way through turn 4. Everybody getting clear of that car that is one lap down.
Well, it looks like Larry Miles and Joshua Wilkie are having a battle. These guys got into it a little bit earlier, and it looks like Larry Miles is trying to make a move up on the inside. He's there. He sent it. gets the better of Wilkie for now, but for how long? Certainly this section of the track, you can force the car to go too wide, but I would definitely not be a fan. It is certainly a track for the brave. You want to carry as much momentum through there as you can. Certainly, if you go a little bit too deep, you will start dipping a toe in the sand, ladies and gentlemen, and not like the way that David Hasselhoff would do it. This section here, the braking zone going into the corkscrew, very, very easy to unsettle the car. We saw Jason Perry have a little bit of a demonstration of that earlier. Sorry, Jason. But this section here, Randall, I know you are definitely a much better driver than me, Adam Thompson included as well, but I could never quite master that corner. Some people will take the tight inside. Myself, I think I hang it too far right and try and cut it in very aggressively. But Wilkie there, heading to the last corner. Is he going to be able to get a good slipstream, or is that lapped car there of Mario Kremser going to give Miles what he needs to stay away from the Joshua Wilkie?
Looks like Mario's going to dip to the right to let these two drivers by, give a good lift down the straightaway to make sure that the move is completed before turn 2. Wilkie got a good run there on Miles, closed the gap quite a bit, and now under braking is closing it even further. Hopefully he's able to get back into the throttle and keep this pressure on. Right now it looks like Miles gets a better run out of turn 2, but Wilkie is lurking there. He managed to close that gap up pretty quickly over the space of a lap. Turn 5 is a good place to overtake, a bad place to be overtaken, because it plays out almost exactly as you saw it there. The driver that gets overtaken not only loses a spot, but loses almost a second of time by having to run the outside line there on turn 5. That is not the line you want to be on. So good move there out of Miles. Now Wilkie trying to dial up that pressure as we see him chasing him through turn 4, down the straight to turn 5. And we're seeing here Paulo Bream taking a look to the inside there at turn 5. And now going to make it run up to turn 6. He's right there on the tail of the 544, showing the nose. Is he going to go for it here? No, just applying the pressure, pressing R2 to intimidate just a little bit, keeping that 544 on his toes as he comes up the hill. Now they're going to be going through the corkscrew. We're going to jump to the chopper, get a nice, good chase view of this battle through the corkscrew. The sim doesn't really do that corner too much justice with the elevation change unless you are in VR. That drop, 59 feet, is absolutely massive, and I can't imagine what it feels like to go down that in real life.
It certainly reminds me a little bit of turn 1 or 2, depends on how you number it, at Brands Hatch. Certainly a track I'm a little bit more familiar with, but we see there battles happening through the field. We're going to take a look at another one. Oh dear, Joshua Flores and Joseph Tarantino going for it, and I believe that's Jason Perry in as well. So it looks like we got a 3, 4, maybe even a 5-car battle here. Jason Perry in the Spider-Man themed livery with Joshua Flores right behind him. Looks like Tarantino, he's currently in 3rd for the Masters, and he has the S1 and S2 drivers behind him, so certainly having a very, very tight battle indeed. Perry falling back through the order earlier. He's currently down 10 positions according to timing and scoring, but I gotta say, fascinating paint there from Jason Perry.
And Jason Perry on a recovery run, trying to make his way through this traffic. We know that he has a lot of pace. It didn't look like he caught any damage. A bit of a bump between him and Al Shutwi as he spun around. Not really heavy damage, so able to keep his pace up. Not going to make the move into turn 5 on the Masters driver. Gets it done before the apex, but going to run a little bit wide now here. And Tarantino's going to have a look to the inside and think better of it. Jason Perry gets the move done. They're going to be single file through the kink. They run up the Ray Hall straight, and we'll see how quickly Jason Perry is able to put some distance between himself and Tarantino and try to close that gap ahead to Paulo Bream.
Well, I thought he was going to go for it there, but I think the wisdom of being a senior here in the Weekend Warriors certainly came into fruition at that point. He could have forced the issue, but certainly these guys as well, I'll say very respectful races for the most part. There's nobody in here who I would be nervous racing against, except maybe Adam Thompson. But speaking of which, Adam, are you back again, sir?
I am back. I can see a timing tower, but I'm not back. I'm not back in the session at the moment. But yeah, it's been an interesting one so far, hasn't it?
Oh, very, very much so. I'm trying to catch all of the battles. Certainly, definitely not as talented a director as yourself or Joshua Wilkie here. But let's have a look at Brad Cathcart going on with Adam Bradshaw.
Yeah, so Cathcart, obviously, this is a battle that's been raging. I think I may have been part of this one at one point today, but I mean, all of these drivers in the back, it's tough. I've noticed around here, it's tough to actually make a pass. You can get mired back behind someone like Cathcart is, behind Bradshaw right now. You just don't have enough run. You've really got to trust the driver you're racing around to be able to make a move. But yeah, it's just, it's one of those things that we're watching again. Going into Andretti here, he wants to think about it. He tries it. It's scary. It really is.
Every corner on this track is scary in traffic. As Adam, you found out firsthand, Andretti can be one of those corners. And then again in the kink, it's crazy driving this course in traffic, but I love it. It's so much fun. This is one of the best tracks in the world, one of the best tracks on the service. And it's really sad not to see you in the car still, Adam.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be up here hanging with my friends anyways. But no, It's one of those things that I noticed. This track, at least for me, Randall, this first time I've run the SRFs around here, it is a very great track for a lot of things, but we need to stop talking about that. Hayden Bramley is an absolute fight right now with Wanshi Lin, Aleix Pleva, Jason Green. They're all there.
And Marco Pinero now having to play defense against Yanshi Lee and Aleix Pleva. Yanshi going to make the opportunistic move back up into third place. Not his first time in that position. Going to see Aleix Pleva back to fourth place. Jason Green here lurking in fifth. Probably licking his chops a little bit, saving some fuel. Speaking of fuel, we have seen a few drivers take to the pit lane. Stevie Ray, notably among them as the Pied Piper of pit strategy, has made his stop. We're past the halfway point. As I said in qualifying, they're going to need about 10 minutes of fuel, so the pit window is definitely open. We're going to see which one of these first 5, 6, 7 cars is the first to blink and make that entry into pit lane.
Well, I think if Stevie's already blinked, there's your opening right now. So, yes, it's going to be interesting here. Draft, I thought, was going to be a big deal around this track. It's really not. So any of these drivers can come in and try to get out of this battle and maybe try a bit of an undercut here. And I think it might work. But the problem is, well, it's actually a good thing because I've realized once you get these tires to cool down just a little bit, as Aleix Pleva does it. But once these tires cool down a little bit, you can be a bit quicker on the tires. We're looking probably at about a gallon-ish, I hope, if I was anywhere close to right. So Aleix Pleva going to be the first one to blink, like you said. Wanshi Lin now going to try to make the move on Pinero.
Pinero having to be way more defensive in this second-place position than he has for most of the race in the past few laps here. So seeing him have to deal with some pressure instead of just following Hayden and waiting for a mistake out of Hayden. So we'll see if he's able to withstand this pressure or if he maybe lets Yanshi go, or possibly if one of these drivers pits out of this battle and tries to get it done on pit lane. I don't think that the undercut here is as powerful as it is in some other tracks, as the exit to pit lane gives you that inside line for turn 2 and kind of evens things out. So the overcut might be the better strategy here. We see the battle for masters here in the form of Jörg Manny and Antonio Reese sitting in 6th and 7th, not too far away from the top 5 breakaway.
No, it's not. But we saw what happened to Jörg Manny in the Formula Fords. Let's hope he doesn't do it again. The fuel thing does become an issue here after pit stops, and obviously Jörg, I think, is just gifting Antonio Reese these wins at this point because they are such close friends. But with that being said, Jörg has been on the pace today in both of these leagues, so we'll see what Antonio Reese can do about it. Clearly happy just to hang out behind him right now.
It definitely looks like Antonio Reese is doing the opposite of what we see out of Jörg Manny and saving a little fuel. He had a good run out of the kink. You see Jörg Manny dipping into pit lane. A good run for Antonio out of the kink, and he backs out going up the Rahal Straight to save a little bit of fuel. He's going to stay out and try to do the overcut. Jörg Manny into the pit lane, pits out of 5th place and going to take his regular fuel service. We'll see how long he is on pit lane. I am looking now at the timing screen. Adam Bradshaw was stopped for only 6 2/3 seconds. Everybody else is 10 to 12, 15 seconds. So I think Adam Bradshaw might be in fuel trouble by the end of this race. Also, Daniel Wood following Jürgen in the pit lane, as well as Marco Pinero. So we've seen a few drivers come in this lap. Right now, Jörg Manny out of the pits with an 11-second stop time. Marco Pinero out with a 10 2/3 seconds pit time. Daniel Wood with an 11.2 second pit time. So we're seeing some good strategies here playing out. Adam Bradshaw, I'm definitely thinking is going to be in trouble coming into this race.
I think Bradshaw might be in trouble, but the thing is, Randall, I mean, I know you know this track very well. You can fuel save quite hard around here. Now, I don't know if you can fuel save 6 seconds worth of fuel going into your car, but that's also an option maybe for Bradshaw to try to take. Right now, though, Joshua Flores sitting in 20th place. Has a long way to go to get up to Joshua Wilkie, Andrea Favini in 21st.
Making him look to the inside, just showing the nose, coming through turn 5, does not, or turn through the kink, sorry, or, you know, that was turn 5. I finally find myself on track here. Andrea Favini applying some pressure. We see the 518 runs wide. Now he's going to have to get over to get out of the way. Yes. He manages to get up the inside, going to have the preferred line on the run up into the corkscrew. Has the move done well before they get to the braking marks. Bramley dips into the pits. Yanshi Lee inheriting inheriting the lead here with Jason Green in second. So we'll see how this strategy plays out. We also see Larry Maez and Juan Velez in the pit lane.
Yep, absolutely we do. So this is where the pit stops are going to start to happen. A little bit more than halfway through this race, which is to be expected. Now we just got to look at pit lane times. Obviously, the first person that came in to get out of all of that, we're going to see where they come out too. But right now, he's sitting mired right now back in traffic, Marco Pinero. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Obviously, back behind Joshua Justice and Joshua Wilkie. And it looks like Kurt Nunez right in front of him there, 1 lap down. This is not a bad spot, though, for Pinero. Take a little bit of draft, and then hopefully, Kurt lets him go.
Kurt is letting him go. Pinero's going to get the move done in turn 4 there. He had a pit stop time that was 3/10 faster, but we see the gap back to Bramley is much bigger than 3/10. So Pinero able to find more time on pit entry and pit exit than Bramley. And now that gap is pretty big. So Bramley's going to have quite a bit of time to make up here. It looks like about 2 seconds with a car between them. So Bramley needs to be on the button here for the next couple of laps to get this move done.
I think Panarin might have gotten this right. Like I said, once those tires cool down, you can have a great outlap. With him being the first one out of that 5-car pack in front to come in, obviously pit lane time was a little bit shorter, but also his outlap was probably much quicker, which allowed him to get by some of these drivers as Bramley gets very, very close to Jacobsen.
Jacobsen defending here a little bit, not necessarily, but Bramley definitely has the pace. We see Kurt Nunez, the blue flag car, dipping into pit lane, going to get out of the way of this fight the best way you can by going into the pits. Bramley going to have the run down the front straightaway here. Nice, big, healthy dose of slipstream. Going to show the nose possibly before turn 1 to make sure that he has the preferred line into turn 2, gets the move set up, and is now alongside. Going to outbrake him into turn 2, get the move done, still hit both apexes, and try now to track down Marco Pinero, who is 2.5 seconds ahead.
Yep, that's going to be a big, big ask, Zippy. So we'll see how that goes for Bramley. But right now, Jason Green still hasn't stopped yet. So this is going to be one we're watching. Yanshi Lin is absolutely driving away from this pack that was a pack, has all of a sudden gotten very, very separated here. Yanshi really doing a great job. He might have a slowdown, though, because he is coming back to Jason just a little bit. Right now on board with Sewell Al-Shootwi also has not taken a pit stop yet. So these 3 drivers up here, 4 drivers actually with Flavio Andalo, really need to figure out when they're going to stop, because I have a sneaky suspicion that Pinero is on a charge.
Yanshi Lin absolutely flying out there, driving really hard to try to get as much of a gap as he can before he comes to the pit lane. Right now we see Jurg Manny trailing Antonio Reese. Antonio came into the pits, had a faster pit stop time by a couple tenths, and it was just enough to give him the position. Now leads over Jurg Manny for that Masters division in the 13th and 14th. We still have some pit stops to shake out, so they'll be back up into the top 10 very soon. But Antonio Reese getting the move done on pit lane.
Absolutely. Great job by Antonio Reese, but the battle rages on, and I have a feeling this battle is going to rage on for the next 11 minutes as Hayden Bramley sets the fastest lap. Remember what I said about Marco Pinero and him not being able to get to him? Well, if Hayden Bramley keeps putting in laps that are 0.4 of a second faster than his rival, he will get there in time. We'll see what Bramley can do. But right now, Sewell Alshutwi is still right on the back of Jason Green. They're now just hanging out. Jason, I think, is kind of made his bed in his pit stop strategy. He's going to wait till the end here.
We see a few more drivers in the pit lane right now. Jason Perry, Andrew Love, Joshua Flores have come in to take service. A few others have come into the pit lane. Right now, we're looking at this battle for the on-track second place, but it's effectively going to be fourth or fifth once they come into the pit lane. Jason Green holding on for dear life here in front of Sewell Alshutwi, and they're both going to dip in the pit lane. Kind of a surprising move out of Sewell there. You normally don't want to pit that close behind somebody at this track, but he decides to do it anyway, and they both come into the pit lane. We'll see who has the better stop. Scott Russell also into the pit lane, and we're going to keep a lookout for the likes of Marco Pinero and Hayden Bramley to come out of that final corner as these two take service. They'll probably be just ahead of them as they go through turn 2. You see Marco Pinero coming out of the final corner now. Going to see those drivers in pit lane on the left. They should easily get this move done coming into turn 3. Does those two start to roll now? There goes Pinero. He's going to be easily in front of those two by the time they get to turn 2. Even with their short run through the pit exit, they're not going to be close enough to be actually challenging Pinero here. So Pinero, like you said, is ahead of. There's so much going on here. I'm trying to figure out. He's ahead of Hayden Bramley, who's in the pit lane again. Hayden Bramley in the pit lane again. So the battle for the effective lead is now over. Bramley in the pit lane. So you have to wonder what went on there. Maybe he's already racked up enough incident points to get a drive-through penalty. I'm not exactly sure. It didn't update his pit time. So he was a drive-through penalty, it looks like.
Well, I'll be honest with you here, Randall, and I've talked to the drivers in the SRF chat before when I was down in there, and I'm pretty sure you could take an 18-wheeler around this track and have less understeer than these things have around Laguna Seca. So that is a definite possibility for Bramley. But right now, Jason Green really has to start thinking about what he's going to do to Sewell Alshutwi. Now, we need to think about Wanchi Lin and Flavio Andala, who have both just come into the pits, because Marco Pinero is definitely fast.
Pinero is absolutely flying. We still have a couple cars out there. Joshua Justice, who's now in the pit lane. So Simon Mayer as well, that were in front of Marco Pinero. So we're going to have the actual race for the lead coming out of the pit lane. Yanchi Lin was really pushing that car the past couple laps. Hopefully didn't overdo the tires too much. We see him light him up a little bit coming out of his box. And here comes Pinero. He's going to go flying past. So he's going to he's going to be ahead of Yanchi Lin here after he comes out of the pit exit. But how far it will be, and does Yanchi have anything left in those tires to close that gap? As we see him come out of the pit lane, he's going to have a bit of lap traffic, and it's not what he wants to see. That car, Paul Jackson, in his way. Hopefully he can get around him cleanly and quickly and not lose much time. Maybe get a little bit of benefit of slipstream here, but he needs to make this move happen very quickly and not lose any time doing it.
Well, Yanchi Lin, I think, is going to be okay because, like I said, those tires have cooled down. Now, the question is, what is Paul Jackson going to do? Is he going to let him go? Because with a cool lap, with some tires that have been into the pits, they're going to cool down a little bit. That's exactly what you need. Pinero is past Paul Jackson. Now, it looks like Jason Green's got to deal with Paul Jackson shortly. Yanchi Lin, though, is about 2 seconds back. So he's gained about 0.2 of a second from the time he left that pit lane. He's got to gain a lot more than that, though, to get up to the back of Pinero. We do have a battle still going on, though, still with Green and Alshutwi. I know Green is just counting down the time. He wants it to be a white flag this lap.
Yeah, Bramley pit lane we're seeing from West Tech Esports Racing in the chat. It was indeed an incident point drive-through, or possibly that was Pleva. Pleva had a disaster, so we're not seeing Pleva up here in the top 3 anymore. So Pleva had an incident somewhere, now showing his 8th on the leaderboard. He was up in 3rd and 4th place for most of the first section of this race, and these two drivers came out as close as they went in. So nearly identical pit times. A bit of a bump draft going through the first corner, going to rattle Jason Green's cage just a little bit there as they come into turn 2. See Aleix Pleva now trying to make the move on Flavio and Dallo giving him a lot of space. So they're going to get the move done quite early and easily has the move done before they get to the turning point for turn 2 and going to try to close that gap up to Jörg Manny. We see some more stuff going on here. Brad Cathcart, there's a couple of blue flag cars behind him. Cathcart going to look to the inside here of Jeff Jacobson on the run down to turn 2, gets the move done, covers over in the braking zone, gets the move done. Now Kurt Nunez there is actually a lap down, so not terribly involved in this battle, trying to keep out of the way. But Juan Velez is behind Kurt Nunez and trying to close down on these two.
So Jeff Jacobson, I will give you a bit of insider information on Jeff Jacobson. Jeff Jacobson did not want to run this race. He was tired after the Formula Fords, and I don't blame him after Lime Rock, but he is up 8 positions, one of the biggest movers behind Joshua Justice, of course, who has moved up 14 positions, I have to say. But yes, Jeff Jacobson doing a great job, and Jeff, I'm glad you stuck with it, buddy. You're doing a lot better than I was because I'm sitting up here now.
Joshua Justice definitely did not have the run that he wanted in qualifying. Started down all the way in 27th place, has made his way up to 13th. So getting it done in the race, really flexing those Spec 1 muscles, is the 99 car as we see him in front of Scott Russell now. Russell trying to keep in contact with him. The way that Joshua Justice has been moving, I'd want to be in contact with him too. Maybe he will pull me up to a couple more positions and I can follow him through to some easy points.
We need to talk about the Spec 2 right now because we need to talk about Joshua Wilkie sitting in 11th, and his closest rival right now is Juan Velez sitting in 19th. Joshua Wilkie has somehow kept his freaking car clean after everything that has gone on in this race and doing a great job in Spec 2, 1 position out of the top 10, and he's within striking distance of Larry Miles.
He absolutely is. We've seen them fighting a bit through the first half of the race, he and Larry Miles. So we now are trying to afflict Wilkie with the commentator's curse by talking to him out of turn, and he's not actually involved in a battle. We see Miles going a little bit wide, and who's that? Stevie Ray having some issues there in turn 2, gets it going again. They're on the pit exit lane and gonna be clear of anybody else right now. But a bit of an incident. Doesn't look like he was contacted by anybody. We see some more shucking and jiving going on here in front of Jason Green. Some more blue flag traffic. This is another track like we saw with the Formula Fords where it's kind of short. You're going to get a lot of lap traffic here, especially for the lead group. So we're seeing them have to deal with some blue flag traffic. Jason Green so far so good, but he has that 700 car ahead of him, David Tomaski, who came in really early, and it might be in fuel trouble as well by the end of this race.
Real quick about Stevie Ray, I'm starting to figure out, I know what's going on with Stevie today. It's that paint job. It's too bright. It keeps bouncing off of his car, and that's why he keeps wrecking. So, Stevie, put a little bit of matte in that thing, buddy. You're blinding yourself and the rest of the drivers in the field. But back to Jason Green in this fight, still massively under fire from Sewell Al-Shukri. But it looks like he's able to get around lap traffic there of David Tomaski. Tomaski gets out of the way of both of them, but look what that's done for the gap for Jason Green.
And Jason Green had to check up and brake a little bit more than usual there for that lap down car, and that caused a huge checkup out of the 132, and we now see the gap. There's a car between them, so he's got a wedge there. He needs to get around this lap car as the car runs. Gary Wobolt there runs a wide, not going to give him clean air. He's going to have to use that slipstream to try to close that gap back up to Jason Green. Sewell has looked like the faster of the pair here. We'll see how much of that was just from slipstream, but gets a little bit of a cut there through the second apex of the corkscrew. Going to try to close this gap. He's definitely going to be on the button trying to close that gap, and we are seeing it shrink. So still showing to be the faster of that pair. The Masters battle, Jörg Manny still all over the rear of Antonio Reese. I think Jörg might just be biding his time here, waiting for maybe something to happen with some of this blue flag traffic, or maybe catch Antonio sleeping in the closing stages of the race.
Watch for that timing tower now, or watch that flag stand. We should be probably 2 to go at this point, depending on where Marco Pinero is around the track. This is definitely 2 to go. White flag definitely going to be next lap. But with that being said, you said Monty's waiting. He can't wait much longer, Randall.
No, he's going to have to make something happen. I don't think he want to do it on the penultimate lap. Going to be probably waiting for the white flag, but we're seeing this traffic is playing a little bit of havoc with this pair. They finally have made their way clear of it. We see Paul Jackson being opportunistic there and getting the spot away from Gary Wobold as it all shakes out. Now, Yerk really needs to close this gap up, but what about the traffic out here has been astounding. We've seen so many blue flag cars interfering with this top 10, and it's a battle between these blue flag cars. So they don't necessarily just want to lift and get out of the way, because you'll see what happened with Gary Wobold. Paul Jackson snaked a spot out of him during all that shuffling.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go. We've got battles going now all over the field. And speaking of a battle, Jason Green has just gotten passed by Sewell Al-Shultwi. Sewell has finally made the move on Jason Green to go up into the podium.
Maybe that gap is exactly what he needed. It allowed him to have space to get a run, and he does. He goes here on the outside of turn 2, going to try to outbreak Jason Green. He's ahead at the first apex. Jason gets the lead back through the second apex, but it looks like Sewell gets a better run off the corner, going to close right up to his bumper, going to be following him very closely through turn 3.
That's a live picture, though, because it looks like Jason Green going to be going on Sewell Al-Shultwi now. They are neck and neck right now with Jason Green and Sewell Al-Shultwi. Jason Green around the outside.
The outside doesn't normally work through the Andretti hairpin. It doesn't work for him this time, but going to try to get a good run. Going to follow Sewell through turn 3. We are on the white flag lap now, so it's now or never for Jason Green to get this move done as he follows very closely through turn 4. The gap opens up just the littlest bit through turn 4, but he's going to have a nice big run to turn 5, going to get some slipstream, try to close this gap up, maybe set up a move for the corkscrew. You're always thinking like a few corners ahead. He's going to get a good exit there, has to lift a little bit, some understeer there through the exit of turn 5, and going to have a bit of a gap ahead of him through the kink, and going to try to get a good run. We see him runs wide, trying to get into the throttle as early as possible. He does not lift.
We got to go to this battle between, hey, I'm sorry, we have to go to the battle between Wilkie and Justice. I've seen this change at least 6 times right now. Wilkie and Justice are right on each other going through the kink here. Who's going to lift? Justice around the outside. He's going to hold on to it, though. He's going to get back to the inside of Wilkie. It looks like Green has lost that battle between Sewell Al-Shultwi. He's now 4/10. I think Wilkie's out of fuel.
Wilkie is backing out. I don't know what's happened here, but he's definitely sounds like he's struggling for fuel. Yes, that car does not sound healthy at all. It is a hungry beast as he's bringing it through rainy curve, trying to preserve this Spec 2 win. We're going to see where Juan Velez is. We see Marco Pinero has crossed the line and has managed to win this race over Yanxi Lin.
All right, so we got to get back to this battle here. Let's go to TV1 here and see where Wilkie's going to finish. Juan Velez. Wilkie is still not across the line yet. He's losing time. Hand over fist, out of fuel, across the line here now. So Wilkie's able to get it done. Jason Perry behind him. Now you see Jeff Jacobson in a battle with Nunez, who is not on the lead lap, and Andrea Favini. Looks like Jacobson's going to be coming home in 19th place. Tom Gradwell right behind him, sitting in 20th with Juan Velez. Almost. If that happened about 30 seconds earlier for Wilkie, would have gotten the S2 win, Randall.
Yeah, Wilkie getting both the S2 win and the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. Comes home in 15th place, manages to keep the Spec 2 win, and what a way to finish this race. So another weekend, another double win for Wilkie. Marco Pinero winning the overall race by 5 seconds. So Yanxi Lin, possibly with some fuel struggles there at the end, had to save a little bit, maybe ran a little bit wide, lost some time. That margin of victory, 5.2 seconds.
Yeah, unbelievable race. And real quick, while we get to the results here, massive shout out. We've got Tam in the chat. I hope she's still watching. The Thompson Trophy. Everyone's talking about Wilkie. Wilkie, you got the Thompson curse, my friend. You ran her out of fuel. You're still able to take the S2 win, though. Marco Pinero in first place. Wanxi Lin in second. Sewell Al-Shultwi is going to round out your podium in third. Jason Green in fourth. Antonio Reese and Jurg Mani always together. Much closer, though. Jurg didn't run it out of fuel this time, sitting in sixth. Alace Pleva coming home in seventh, obviously with an incident we did not catch. Flavio Andalo in eighth. Larry Miles in 10th. And Hayden Bramley is going to be rounding out your top 10.
I'm hearing it from a little bug in my ear that that Pleva also had incident point issues and had to take a drive-through penalty, which would explain his sudden fall through the field in the second half of the race. 11th place is going to go to Simon Mayer. 12th place, Joshua Justice with the drive of the race, up 15 spots from where he started. Did not like qualifying, had a good go of it in the race. What a finish there, Joshua Justice. Scott Russell in 13th, Daniel Wood 14th place, Joshua Wilkie, your Spec 2 winner and Thompson Trophy Award winner, in 15th place, Jason Perry in 16th, Brad Cathcart in 17th, Andrea Favini in 18th. 19th is Jeff Jacobson, who also had a good run, up 7 spots from where he started. Tom Gradwell coming home in 20th after taking our own Adam Thompson out of this race in 20th place.
We have to talk about Hayden Bramley as well in the chat, saying, I love getting treated like someone's favorite girl at the glory hole. So that you win comment of the day, Hayden Bramley. But Juan Velez in 21st, with Paulo Brimi coming home in 22nd, Joshua Flores in 23rd, Joseph Tarantino and Stevie Ray round out your top 25. Andrew Love, Russell Telker, Adam Bradshaw, Jim Brewster, Tim, if you're still in here, there's your brother, and Paul Jackson rounding out your top 30. David Tomaski, Patrick Farragher, Gary Wobolt, Michele Viglini, Kurt Nunez, your top 35. Man, this is a big field. Wayne Buttermore in 36, and we've got just a couple more to get through. Oh, wow, that's weird. I see my name on there. Mario Kresmer in 37th with Philip Berry in 38th. I don't know how I got down there to up here so quickly, but I finished in 39th place. Soren Garrett's in 40th with Jason Grinder rounding out your field in 41st.
What an absolute action-packed race. This is Laguna Seca, Spec Racer Fords. If you didn't expect to have this absolute barn burner of a race, then you need to manage those expectations, because that's exactly what gets delivered here in these cars at this track every time they come here. And I'm looking around in pit lane, and I think I've got Jason Green, who ended up coming home 4th overall and 4th in the Spec 2. We saw you engage in quite a battle with the 132 for most of the race. Tell us what it was like out there for you today.
Oh my God, that was a very brutal race. My arms are sore for sure. Laguna is always a very difficult test. And I was overdriving a little bit, so my tires weren't happy. I was sliding all over the place, and Sol was playing the patient waiting game. And made his move with 2 laps to go. I didn't think I had a chance after I messed up turn 6 in the last lap, but he made a small little mistake in the last corner and gave me a small chance. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was always clean racing Sol. So that was well done from him.
So we saw a lot of lap traffic this race, and we haven't seen much of it yet this season. So what was it like trying to deal with the blue flag cars as you had Sol hot on your tail?
Yeah, for the most part, it was fine. I think we had one very, very close call when, I forget who it was, but they decided to let us pass while they were on the racing line into turn 4, I think it was. So we almost died, but we just managed to escape with only a 4X. But other than that, yeah, it was fine. Obviously lost us some time and let Yanchi get away, but that's the name of the game here.
Yeah, we did see that incident there at turn 4, and it was quite spooky. Congratulations on surviving that, and congratulations on a good finish here in 4th place at a really tough track with lots of traffic. Before we let you go celebrate, though, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Shout out to everybody who showed up today. We had another massive grid. The season's kicking off really well, so shout out to everybody who shows up for all 3 leagues. Yeah, that's what makes this community amazing.
All right, well, congratulations again, and hopefully we see you up there on the podium in the future.
Yep, I was almost there today, but yeah, thanks guys.
So close.
That was Jason Green, your 4th place finisher. But yes, you're right. So close. And Adam, who have you tracked down?
I think I found a Antonio Reese here. I'm going to drag him down, but real quick, Jason, you did say you were pretty close, but you were definitely not close enough. And Jason Green, the amount of crap you give me close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But Antonio Reese, welcome in, buddy. Congratulations on your Masters win. You and your buddy Jurg were fighting for most of the race there. How did you get him in the pits? Did you know you were going to be able to get him in during the pit stop?
No, hello, good night. It was really having fun together, and then we have no kind of this kind of a guessing what is going to happen. But so I was trying to keep close as much as I could. So just guessing that what's going to happen, and it worked out somehow. Well, it paid off.
Well, it paid off a lot.
Yeah.
It paid off a lot better for you than it did for me, Antonio. So obviously you kept it clean. How hard was it for you to stay out of trouble this afternoon around here?
Yeah, it was really hard. I was overdriving, and then I was making a lot of mistakes, and I avoid the track, also the overlap cars, and kind of still stay alive and keep going. Yeah, I was always biting my tongue every time.
Well, congratulations, Antonio, on your Masters win. Is there anybody you want to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, for you guys, the broadcast, and for the Steve Ray, and the sponsors and the drivers, the viewers, everyone. So, yeah, my family, all the people, all the world.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Antonio. Congratulations. We hope to see you on the podium next weekend.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Take care.
That was Antonio Reese, and it sounds like our producer has called dibs on the Spec 2 winner. But before I give the producer our Spec 2 winner, Joshua, I never want to hear another word out of your mouth again about fuel. Do you understand me?
Yeah, that's twice in, I don't know, I think I've run out of fuel 2 or 3 times this year now, so keep making the line at least. That's all I can hope for, I suppose. But yeah, that was a good race other than the fuel. I was really having a super fun battle with Joshua Justice there at the end. I was hoping to be able to cap that off, but unfortunately ran out of gas and had to pull out. So what are you going to do? Got the Thompson Award.
Well, definitely the Thompson Cup seems to have become a thing. Sorry, Adam, but you can thank Tamara, Michelle, Guido, and I gotta say as well, it seems to be SMB themselves, every single one of us that we've seen race so far. Adam, myself, and now you, Josh, you have joined the fold in having such a shortage on fuel. So it's fair to say, I think I described it the other day, our broadcast may be filled with fuel, but the race cars are not. But Josh, tell us a little bit. I know you didn't get as much practice for that, but certainly a little bit, tell us what you did to prepare for this in terms of, strategy, setup, any little tips for anybody who's at home.
Yeah, pretty much strategy around here for me was just to stay alive. I'm really driving off the people around me. I think I was battling with Larry Miles. I believe he may be new to the Weekend Warriors here. Great battle with him. I was kind of just pacing off of him. He actually put an amazing move on me in the corkscrew. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he actually passed me in the corkscrew clean, which is really hard to do. Yeah, and when we were back and forth, and then Hayden Bramley, I think, got by me. I had a really good start and everything, so I kind of just lucked out today, if I'm totally honest. I don't usually race here very well, and I just tried to put my head down and click off the laps that I could, and it worked out for me. So, yeah, congrats to everybody. And Joshua Justice, I think he made up like 16 places or something, and he was on my bumper at the end there. I was having a really good battle with him. It's too bad I ran out of gas, but yeah, fun times.
Well, it is a little bit ironic, actually, how you managed to get some extra positions in the 1600 race for running out of gas. And then in the next race, you are the opposite. So it's very much a cat and mouse.
There we go. Yeah, evened it out for me.
Yeah, karma. Instant karma here at the Weekend Warriors and Slow Motion Broadcast. And Josh, I got to say as well, having just done production on this one today, I appreciate you more and more. So ladies and gentlemen, do not underestimate this man. Despite the fact he is there producing shows for SMB, just started commentating shows as well. He is also the best racer SMB had in the SRF. Sorry, Adam, he survived. But we're gonna let you go. For now. I do understand maybe some of the other guys. I don't know. Is there anybody else you'd like to speak to? Up to you.
I think that's all right, guys. Yeah, I've taken up so much time here. It's you guys. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start charging you. Like, you're gonna have to. I'm putting you on my payroll. I'm going on your payroll, and you can start paying me back for the amount of time you're taking from the broadcast, Joshua.
I know. I'm gonna move up to S1 here, probably by the end of the season. I think here. Hopefully S2. I was gonna say we'll fill out. If there's anybody out there watching and you're on the fence about jumping in here, I DNF'd 9 out of my first 12 races, I believe, the first season I jumped in here, and now I'm up, winning S2 races. So jump in. Have some fun with us. We really need some more S2 drivers in here to fill out the field a little bit. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys, always, and have a good one.
That was Joshua Justice there, our S2 winner, and
Joshua
because
Wilkie, not Joshua Justice.
Joshua
my
Wilkie, excuse me, not
gosh.
Joshua's. But anyways, because I don't own this anymore, I'm gonna let you do the honors, Randall, and I'm gonna sit back and listen to how bad you mess it up.
Well, after an explosive race here at Laguna Seca, an absolute barn burner, the fireworks going off lap after lap, battles, lap traffic, everything you could ask for out of a race. We have to bring this broadcast to a close. This has been 2024 Season 4, Week 3 of the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford, brought to you by Ray Esports, here live on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Stick around later to watch Cross Series League Racing at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, huh? My name is Randall McGrew. I've been joined briefly by Daniel Zippy Salmon and by the guy that can't seem to finish a race, Adam Thompson. Thank you for watching and have a good afternoon.
I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes.
That was the biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you know, life sucks sometimes, and you need the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new
Conspiracy
content.
confirmed.
But
Yes.
but
The field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over green and is pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure Green has his hands full coming into T1.
George Chance, did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside, hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
Soto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up to try to move out of the way and give up the slipstream.
Here comes Gilliland.
Slow down. Gilliland coming in, going to try to challenge for this podium. They're going to go too wide.
Oh, no!
No! Gilliland and Plava come together. Gilliland's going to come back across the line in 4th place.
Quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there
Oh,
from the
my
46
goodness.
car. He's gone deep.
Ooh, I don't know how everybody was able to get through that. That could have been absolute tears for that front runner.